Next up, I'd like to welcome a man who did so much to help us to achieve our aim. My
involvement with the William Wallace Society came after a meeting with, as Gary alluded to, with Davy Ross and Gary, and on the back of that it's quite boring investigative stuff, but I was interested to understand why the English archive were trying to withhold a document which was so clearly important to Scotland. Through a matter of over a period of months or so, established communications, or got access to communications between officials in Scotland and officials in England, specifically about the William Wallace letter, which showed clearly there was duplicitousness between civil servants here in Scotland and those in England. Now, I was fortunate enough at the time to have the direct access to Scottish ministers and make it clear to them this was totally unacceptable. Whilst on the one hand you had the First Minister of Scotland telling this Parliament that there was every effort being made to return these documents, his own civil servants behind the scenes were saying quite the opposite to their counterparts at the National Archive in Kew. And one cabinet minister said, after I went with the dossier of information that I'd gathered, he said, don't forget, he said, this civil servants in this country may have a different postcode to those down in London, but they still have an allegiance to their old masters. Shame. It's a political lesson to the Scottish Government here that we can't rely on the civil service to deliver what we require as a democratic Parliament. And so on the back of that, we did a bit more work, and then the working party was set up, a group of leading academics, and which resulted in the letter being returned yesterday to Scotland, where its rightful home is. And for me, I'm here in a personal capacity, but for me, Wallace, there would be no national movement for independence without William Wallace.
Yes!
There would be no country called Scotland without William Wallace.
Yes!
Temporary loan agreement for what is a piece of stolen property, stolen from the man.
Aye!
Never going back to England.
Yes, Mark!
And that's over my dead body.
You get them told!
William Wallace was a man of no compromise. He would never have compromised over allowing a foreign head of state, an English monarch, to be head of state in Scotland. He wouldn't have compromised over allowing us, Scotland, an independent Scotland, to take part in military alliances which are about imperialism and independence. He wouldn't allow our economy to be regulated by a foreign bank. That's the kind of man William Wallace was, and that's something that I think all of us here would like to raise our hopes for. And finally, I would like to pay tribute to Gary in particular. Gary has done a lot of work, certainly a lot of phone calls during the night. I don't know what he's doing.
Nothing unusual there,
Fair play to Gary. He brought it here, he continued it on. It was a massive blow, obviously, when Davy passed away, and I know how much that Davy meant to you, to Gary, but hats off to you. You did proud, son, and all the best.
Well done, Gary.
They were a very good friend of Davy's, and now a good friend of ours too. Ted wrote and performed a special song for Wallace in London at the Church of St Bartholomew. Please welcome Ted Christie. 1, 2.
You're hearing me up the back.
Very good at this one, Mike.
That's about the oldest speaker you've had.
William Wallace died over 700 years ago, yet he still remains a national hero to millions of people who have Scottish blood flowing through their veins. But more than that, he's still an inspiration to people throughout this world who believe in and struggle for the belief that a country and its people has the right to determine their own future. When Wallace was captured at Royston, one of the letters that lies inside now was on his person. And it's lying in England now for 700 years and never been on show. Now, there can only be two reasons for that. One is that they didn't deem it important enough to put it on public show. Now, if that's the case, they should have given us it back years ago, because we as a nation do deem it to be important, and we would have had it on show. The other possibility is that they were scared of it and what it represents.
Yeah.
Here, Ted.
Now, if we come up to our lifetime, just think of the film Braveheart. Now, no matter what you thought of the film as far as its content was concerned, Braveheart woke up pride in Scotland that had been sleeping for a long, long time. It allowed a lot of people to find an identity that they didn't realise was theirs. And it just gave us a huge boost in nationalistic feeling in Scotland. I was born and raised in Stirling, less than 5 minutes walk from the battlefield at Stirling Bridge. My council, my government, did absolutely nothing to capitalise on the possibility of bringing millions of pounds of revenue into Scotland from tourism on the back of Braveheart. They put holding their own office more important than the prosperity of our country, because it did not suit them politically for their rise in nationalistic feeling at that time. 700 years on, the establishment of unionism is still scared of William Wallace. That, of course, is thanks to one man, a guy called Edward of England, who believed that if he cut Wallace's body into 4 parts, that then he would not be able for his soul to go on to the afterlife. You cut him up, his soul stays where it is, it doesn't go to the afterlife. Well, Eddie succeeded, but his soul has found a home in every Scottish patriot that has lived ever since. And it's still there, and they are still there with us as we walk down the road to independence. And as we walk down that road, still striding proudly in front of us is the spirit of William Wallace. I was proud when Davy Ross asked if I would write this for Wallace's funeral service. I've been proud to sing it ever since. I'd be very proud if you would sing it with me today. Did not close my eyes for the last time under Caledonian skies, with my good friends gathered all around me to say their last goodbyes. Will not be forgotten in the heart of every Scot. I still live on. Now it's time to fly the Southside high. My spirit's coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Back where I belong. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. My spirit's coming home. They tore apart my body so I could not rise on Judgment Day. What they did not realize is now I'll never go away. I'm coming back to the land I love, to the people I hold dear, to Scotland, St. Andrew, and freedom. I'm coming home. I'm coming survive. Once again to stand beside the people I hold dear. For Scotland, St. Andrew, and freedom. I'm coming home, I'm coming home, back where I belong. I'm coming home, I'm coming home, my spirit's coming home to Scotland, St. Andrew, and freedom. I'm back to Scotland, St. Andrew, and freedom. Well, nobody can follow that. Thanks a million, Ted. So, many years of campaigning have brought us here to today in the public exhibition of the Wallace letter. When Wallace carried this letter to the continent, it carried the hopes of a nation